spider monkey.
No! The diamonds are here!
You greasy bastard! Where's my shoes?
Sign your pity on the running time.
Big and white and cruel and mean.
Kiss my Converse. Easy, white chocolate. I wouldn't want you to melt.
But you just have to give me twice as much blood!
I'm coming.
I don't want you to come.
You're gonna need a bigger...
Spider monkey. Spider monkey. Hold on tight, spider monkey.
Welcome to a bonus adventure in the colon from the bowels of movie night.
I sometimes forget that's the name.
You came up with it.
God, did I?
I'm Isaac, and with me, as always, is my fearful co-host, Larry. What are you afraid of this week?
Myself. My terrible thoughts. My terrible ideas.
Oh, golly gee.
Jesus.
Yeah, so we're doing a little recap of Beverly Luff Linn, because after Larry viewed it, I actually sat down and watched it, and I also agree it is a 1 out of 10 piece of shite.
I can't believe how bad it was.
It's astoundingly bad.
And it's even better to me because I went into it thinking, well, this is going to be bad. And you went into it thinking, well, that looks delightful. Because your love of quirk and my love of quirk are radically opposite.
I love everything Wes Anderson does, and Larry hates Wes Anderson with a passion, but I am going to make you watch a Wes Anderson movie for the podcast and just blow up your world.
Listen, I've talked about it as time goes on. I see why he's good. I just still don't.
You're evolving!
I am evolving. We just talked about that.
Yeah, a week ago.
Fuck me.
Oh yeah, by the way, this is probably coming out on Sunday, and the full episode will be in the middle of the week. Hopefully Tuesday, maybe Wednesday.
You are going on a vacation to, I want to say Guantanamo Bay.
Denver, Colorado.
Oh, you're going to buy some weed?
Nah, well, you can buy it in New Jersey now. They finally got it all set up.
Believe it or not, I'm not up to date.
I'm going to go look at some mountains and other stuff, I think.
So, the strip club tour of Denver, Colorado.
Do the strip clubs open in the middle of the day?
Yes, in fact. I think perfect. That, sadly, is when they do most of their business. From sad old men like us. Never been to a strip club, don't really have a desire to go. Seems like a place for sad men, and I'm sad enough without admitting to the whole world that I am. More so than I already did.
Yeah, the idea of being in the physical presence of sexy ladies without really being able to do anything with them just is a tease I don't need.
I know what you mean, but god damn it when you say it though.
Well, I'm a heterosexual man.
Yeah, so am I.
God has put needs in my wiener.
Okay. All right. Why don't you just stop?
Beverly Luff Linn. We're gonna.
We talked about that. We did have a whole episode. It was one of my movies, but yeah, we're gonna do a little. I'm gonna read the plot off Wikipedia. We're just gonna go through and the bits that we remember really hating because I want to hear Isaac's perspective because he was really excited about it and I hated it. It was predictably as terrible as
because I had seen not the official trailer. We actually just had a conversation about that off air. But the Netflix preview is the scene when they're getting to the hotel and the two twins' beds, and you see the cut-up poster of fucking Beverly Luff Linn.
Right, with the glowing eyes.
That scene alone made me think it was going to be a Wes Anderson-y horror movie.
No,
and that is absolutely not what it is. I mean, it tries to be Wes Anderson-y and fails.
Tries very hard and doesn't understand the beating heart behind Wes Anderson's writing. And it's just like, yeah, this is what it's like, right? Sure.
Yeah, this is make everything as weird as possible. They did get a couple things right. There are a couple scenes I really enjoyed.
Well, you're going to have to fucking tell me about that because that sounds wrong.
Okay. Well, I don't think it's even going to be in the plot, though, but the gags I really liked was Jermaine Clement setting up a great story from his past, and then it's just this utterly uninteresting non-story.
I remember when I was looking at the reviews for this, that was what people pointed to as being like a high point. Because it's a story about like how his father, he wanted to be named Keith or something.
Right, and he's like, yeah, something like that. And it's about his grandfather's name and his name.
Right.
And yeah, but he sets it up like, let me tell you an exciting story from my past.
Right. Jermaine Clement, like that's the really bizarre thing about all of this. The cast is very strong. Like the main 5 people, Aubrey Plaza, great. Jermaine Clement, great. Matt Berry, best actor of our generation. Okay. Craig Robinson, pretty good. Emil Hirsch, I don't know about Emil Hirsch very well.
They're all talented. Although Emil Hirsch's performance in this, I hated.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
That drove me up a wall almost more than the grunting.
Isn't it? I fucking thank you. I'm so glad. It's the worst. He has also no place in this movie. Like, why was he in it for more than just the beginning? The second she drove away the second she drove away with Jermaine Clement, we should never have seen Emil Hirsch again.
You need drama.
No, you need a plot, which this movie did not have.
The other side thing I really liked was Dave Barry rubbing Chris Robinson's belly and waiting for him to fart. Yeah,
I know you would like that. I believe I even joked in the review. I'm sure Isaac would have loved this, and he did. They
stupid.
They are because that happens a few times, and at one point, I did think it was kind of funny, just again because Matt Berry tickles me in a way no other man ever has.
Just the timing of it played out really
Craig
well.
Robinson is, and then Matt Berry go, ooh,
and also they don't overdo the fart. It's not like a loud, like the windows don't shake or something.
It's like a toot.
Yeah, it's just like a normal, like medium-sized fart.
It's fine. That I knew you would like that. It's fine. I don't hate
Farts
that
are funny.
part. They're not always funny, man. It's
They're
so
almost
cheap.
always funny.
It's so.
All right, let's
go
get
to the plot
meat.
here in Wikipedia. I'm going to spare you my usual 10+ pages of bullshit. Lulu Danger, Aubrey Plaza, is a waitress in a coffee shop managed by her husband Shane, Emil Hirsch, in a small town. One evening while watching television, Lulu sees an advertisement for a mysterious upcoming live show to be held at the town's hotel called An Evening with Beverly Luff Linn for one magical night only. The commercial, fuck that commercial, man. Because it's Craig Robinson as Beverly Luff Linn in his like Scottish Highland pink plaid suit, like slowly going in towards the camera with like white glowing eyes. As Matt Berry is like, An Evening with Beverly Luff Linn for one magical night only. And the payoff for the magical night is such a fucking fart. It's just so like, I'm sure the guy was laughing all the way to the bank when he got to the end of it about how nothing it ended up being. It is so built, like the mystery of the whole movie is, what is the magical evening? Who is Beverly Luff Linn? The answer is nothing and no one.
Yeah, it's so bizarre and not close to good bizarre.
No, not even remotely.
And you could, I don't know what exactly, but you could have done something really good with that setup of this mysterious evening with Beverly Luff Linn.
Yeah.
There could have been a good payoff.
It's a
I don't know
good
what,
setup. Yep.
But exactly, yeah. But they did drop the ball.
You got the right people for it. You know, Craig Robinson is sort of a mysterious silent. He should have been silent. He should have been silent.
Yes.
He should have not just every time his fucking face is on screen. And you've got Matt Berry as his fucking wrestling manager hype man. It's the perfect casting for him. And they don't let him be himself. I'm still mad. But anyway, to the plot. Lulu recognizes Beverly from a series of photos she keeps hidden in a dresser drawer and becomes excited. Meanwhile, Shane becomes incensed when he learns that Lulu's brother Ajay has more money than him and that he keeps his life saving in a lockbox at a spice store he owns. With the help of his...
The money thing was so weird.
Is it? It's so very... Like, that to me was the most Wes Anderson-y part. It's like, oh, the cash box. It's like this mysterious fixation that Emil Hirsch gets. And it's just like a shoebox full of money. And not even that much money, really, it looks like. And it becomes this weird plot point that resonates throughout every character in some way or another that is just totally, like... stops mattering the instant it gets out of the spice store.
And just the fact that it's just a box with some cash in it. It would have been much better if it was like a Pulp Fiction briefcase with a mystery valuable item in it.
That's part of the fucking small town charm of this. Like, oh, the obsession is over this little bit of money because that's all it takes to have an obsession is a little bit of money and they're never going to be rich. It's trying to say something while saying nothing is the impression I got from it.
That sounds right.
Just the second that cash box touches Jermaine Clement's hands, Emil Hirsch should have said, all right, see you guys later, and went home. With the help of his dim-witted employees, Carl and Tyrone, Shane steals the lockbox, although Ajay quickly recognizes Shane as the culprit. Later, at the laundromat, decrying his situation, Ajay meets a drifter named Colin, Jermaine Clement, who offers to retrieve the lockbox in exchange for $200. And again, I love Jermaine Clement with all my heart. And at this point, he is like, "I'll help you recover your monies from the sane danger." And
Yes.
he's just, his voice is ambrosia. He's a great actor. It's a great setup at this point. Like, I mean, at this point, I was already getting irritated with the fucking over-the-top quirky bits of the way that Emile Hirsch talked in the shop. And it was very much like a run my script through the Wes Anderson simulator and tell all the actors to speak their lines very deliberately so you know that my script is very deliberate. Like, am I wrong?
Pure genius. No. I really wonder what it was like on set.
Yeah.
With the director telling these actors to perform the way they did.
Right. I would love to pick Aubrey Plaza's brain about this, because she seems like a very down-to-earth person. And again, she also great actress. I think her acting probably fit the whole tone of this movie the best, just because she's still...
Yeah.
She's sort of a very muted actor, like she very quiet and close to the chest, sort of, but still with like a good energy to that. So I think it fit the direction this fucking jerk off who made this thing the most, what he wanted. So I think her, I don't know. That's I had the least to say of irritation about hers, because it seemed like her tone fit this the most. Mm-hmm. Colin goes to the Danger household, where Lulu catches him snooping outside and mistakes him for a friend of Shane's. Colin pulls a gun on Shane and demands the lockbox, but when he panics, Lulu takes charge of the situation, taking the gun from Colin, retrieving the lockbox, and forcing Colin to drive her to the hotel.
That whole scene was just weird.
Yeah.
And no one's motivations made sense.
No. Like, the scenes prior established that Lulu's in this dead-end marriage she hates, but no one else is... What was going on with everyone else?
Yeah, I don't know. That scene really bothered me once I actually saw how it played out.
Yeah, and she, like, dumps her chips on Emile Hirsch's head.
Yeah, right.
It's just... she saw the opportunity to leave this marriage, but I don't know. Yeah, it just, like, felt very forced.
Yeah.
Colin and Lulu check into the hotel, where they begin a bizarre flirtation characterized by Lulu making romantic overtures towards Colin before abruptly pulling back, and Colin making awkward sexual advances on Lulu that he immediately regrets. I remember reading this when I did the review and thinking that was incorrect. I do not feel that Lulu made romantic overtures towards Colin at any point. Maybe kind of in a roundabout way near the end, but like up till then... No, she was not flirting with him at all. She was using him to get to Beverly Luff Linn.
Yeah.
Like, he was trying to make sexual advances towards her, because he kept being like, this is it. This is when she's going to suck my dick. And he would, like, get down his underwear and, like, splay himself like one of your French girls on his bed. And then she would just be like, I don't remember her showing him any sort of, like, the time of day other than, is it time to go see Bev yet?
Yeah, maybe she was stringing him along a little bit, but not in an overly romantic way.
No, I don't think at all.
Just, this is a mysterious adventure,
right?
And I have boobies, so maybe you can touch them, maybe. But not ever really saying that. Just the fact that she had boobs puts that thought in Jermaine Clement's head, because he's a 45-year-old virgin.
Yeah,
okay.
He was a virgin, right? I forgot about that. Yeah, and like it's she and Colin, like, in her mind, they're playing house until it's time for Bev. Like, that's all it ever is. But this fucking Wikipedia article makes it seem like, oh, she's flirting with him. Like, not really. I never got that impression.
Yeah, I think that's incorrect.
Beverly checks into the hotel along with his sidekick, a Scottish man named Rodney, Matt Berry. Beverly and Lulu immediately recognize one another, though Beverly, who appears to be subverbal and communicates only through a series of grunts.
The absolute worst part of this movie.
I cannot. What a stupid thing to do. What an absolutely boneheaded, stupid thing to do, to make your character grunt the whole time.
And the grunts are, like, loud and annoying and abrasive.
It's that.
It just, every time I heard it, I would get angry and not want to listen to it.
It's just, it makes you want to throw up your hands. Like, what am I doing? Why am I watching this?
We just covered Jay and Silent Bob reboot,
yeah.
And having a silent character can be great.
Yeah,
and
Silent
can
Bob
work.
is fine. Silent Bob is the only consistent thing Kevin Smith has ever wrote that I think is good.
But the grunting, like I like the idea of him being mysterious and we don't know what the hell is happening, but the grunting is absolutely the worst way to deal with it.
Having a mysterious character who you not really know the motivations of, who turns out to be normal, is such a Wes Anderson thing. Or normal, or just like one step away from normal, like bizarre in a very specific way.
Yeah.
It's so Wes Anderson-y, it hurts. Wes Anderson, by the way, not anything to do with this movie, although you wouldn't know it by looking at it from the outside.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so, the fucking grunting is so terrible. But, oh God. So like I said, Beverly, who appears to be subverbal and communicates only through a series of grunts, does not indicate this to Rodney, who harbors secret homosexual feelings for him. Behind Rodney's back, Beverly attempts to arrange a meeting with Lulu by sending a letter to her room, but Rodney intercepts it and drugs Beverly. When Lulu arrives to meet Beverly, she instead finds Rodney wearing synchronized swimming makeup for no reason.
Yeah, that was really weird, too.
For no reason whatsoever.
Like, if makeup was part of his character and an ongoing thing.
Part of no one's character in this movie.
Just weird for weird with zero reason. Like, I like weird for the sake of weird, but it's like a subtle flavor.
Yes.
You have to do it just right.
You just beat somebody over the head with it. It does nothing. It adds nothing other than upset confusion or just outright rage on my part. When Lulu arrives to meet Beverly, she instead finds Rodney wearing synchronized swimming makeup. He tells her not to come between him and Beverly. On the night of the show, Beverly apparently falls ill and the event is postponed for 24 hours, only to become postponed for another day as Colin, Lulu, Beverly, and Rodney all jockey for one another's affections, and Shane arrives at the hotel in search of the lockbox. For no reason! Emil Hirsch did not belong in this movie any further. I can't stress it enough. There's truly, he adds nothing. He adds nothing to anyone's plot. His plot is not interesting. It doesn't resolve in an interesting way. It's just, we had him on set. He was the star of the director's other movie, The Greasy Strangler, which I believe is somewhat well received as opposed to this piece of shit. And my guess is he just wanted to keep Emil Hirsch, in silks to keep him coming back. The nature of the show remains elusive, and guests speculate as to what it will entail. Speaking of farts, a despondent Colin has sex with a woman he meets at the hotel bar, only to learn that she's a prostitute. Later, he confesses the liaison to Lulu, who becomes upset. Colin further admits that he had been a virgin up to this point. Why?
Yeah, and
for what reason?
The sex scenes, that one and the other one that's coming up, I don't know if it'll be mentioned, but are so, graphic and gross.
Yeah.
And
the other one?
Just slapping body. The two, the fat goon and the fat waitress.
I love cold beer! Yeah.
Right. But this one, it's just a lady of the night in her 50s looking a little haggard, and Jermaine Clement just, fucking her from behind while she's in a dryer, and, you watch him come and then slip out of her, and she asks for money. It's, very vivid and gross and dirty. I didn't get that until I saw it. Ooh.
It really feels like the director was trying to make a statement, but not knowing what the fuck he was doing or how to make it or what the statement even was.
Yeah.
It's a lot of very confused plot threads that don't lead to anything.
Weird, plot points involving sex.
Yeah.
But they're all over the map too, and even the very end of the movie,
what is it? What is it saying? What does it say about Colin? I don't. What is that supposed? What is how his character is defined by sex in that he wants to bang Lulu, but also is afraid of banging Lulu because he's a virgin. But it doesn't go anywhere. It's not well explained, and it's it's me telling a story in the middle, oh yeah, by the way, he's a virgin. It's so disjointed and meaningless. Later, demanding to know the reason for Lulu's fixation on Beverly, she confesses that he was her poetry professor in college and that he left his wife for her. In the midst of their affair, he apparently drowned while the pair were on vacation, an event which emotionally destroyed her. Which, I don't know if I really went into the fact that, he leaves his wife for her, which is also a thing, that was thrown in there, and I did because the wife shows up, and not really okay, well, why though? Doesn't matter.
And also just there's some squickiness too of professor falling in love with student.
Yeah.
Even if everyone's of age and everything, but
Right.
it's still just a position of power kind of thing where, I'm sure sometimes that happens and sometimes it's not nefarious.
Right.
But more often than not, it's just not good and squicky
people
and weird.
who have sway over others should not be dating those others. That's why doctors can't date patients.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why we had to explain this. And again, that's just a glossed over scene. Just to give him some depth that he's supposed to be deep because he's a fucking poetry professor.
Right, yeah.
I mean, give me a break. Lulu, Colin, and other guests gather for the show, which turns out to be a simple musical review in which Rodney and Beverly perform whimsical Scottish folk melodies. Give me a fucking break.
Such a letdown.
And it's like, I would be fine with it being not so magical, but the amount of the movie that revolves around the audience's suspense of what this is possibly going to be, it's so lame.
And also, the lesson, don't show the monster.
Yes!
Should apply here. We shouldn't see the show.
No, it should just, right. It should have been, you could have done this in a different way without showing us what the show actually is.
And they also show us what the show is for like 5 minutes.
It's long, yeah.
Yeah.
They do like 3 songs.
Yes. And nothing's really happening. Like, the camera pans over, like, Aubrey Plaza's, like, tearful face.
Yeah, and of course, because it's supposed to be, it's a fucking Wes Anderson joint, basically. It's supposed to be like, oh, everyone thinks this is insanely deep. This simple thing. Oh, they're singing Scottish Highland songs. He's
moved.
tapped into the fucking subconsciousness of humanity, and he's moved us all to tears. And everyone, is seeing like of course, he's got life figured out. What do I know? A fucking idiot.
Beautiful Scottish folk melodies.
Right. I mean, listen, anything that lets me hear Matt Berry sing, I'm there for it, but God, it would have let down.
Your love of Matt Berry is
I really do.
really
I love
strange.
He's so good. He's so funny and talented, and I just love him. I just love him so fucking much.
It's getting awkward.
I don't know what to say,
Do
man.
you know where he lives?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I
keep it that way.
I assume somewhere in England. He might have moved to America by now. He is doing What We Do in the Shadows. I think he's doing some more American stuff now, so I'm not sure. Well, Toast of Hollywood, which I don't know when that's going to be available for me to watch, but I got to watch that. But no, I don't usually fall in love with actors and actresses. Like, I don't really care that much. But man, just every time he is on screen, I am just delighted. That's another thing. Like this, I really hate that this is your first experience with him because he's so muted in this, like from what he usually is, which is like a very funny man. In this, he's just like a guy.
Yeah.
You need to watch Toast of London and or What We Do in the Shadows. I recommend both, but you have to watch at least one.
I'm making a note right now, actually.
Yeah. So this was a big letdown for me just because he isn't allowed to be the Matt Berry that I'm used to, which is a very good actor. So Beverly suddenly becomes articulate, singing in an incongruous alto and regaling the audience with stories of his time visiting Scotland. Addressing Lulu, he gives a heartfelt speech about the nature of lost love, apologizing for breaking her heart and telling Rodney that, while he loves him as a friend, he has no romantic feelings for him. Also seemed to be a plot line that was tacked on for no reason.
Yeah, that was just kind of weird and not really fleshed out.
It was to give Matt Berry something to do, I guess, and it was to drag
And
out the
his
running
motivation.
time to give like Lulu and Beverly more reasons to not talk because the director realized like, oh shit, they're in a hotel. I got to make sure they don't talk for the next fucking 30 minutes of runtime.
Well, he couldn't have talked anyway.
Fuck, I'm gonna kill myself. The event ends when Shane and Carl crash the show while Tyrone steals a lockbox from Colin's room. A plot point which I don't even think I mentioned, by the way. But the lockbox scene ends like as a background shot of the fat goon and the I love cold beer woman stealing the lockbox. And
just
then
proving how unimportant it's been
and it's
the whole
never
time.
mentioned again. Yeah. Even though it was this fixation of Emile Hirsch and sort of like fueling the events that led up to this, of them, Lulu and Colin being quote unquote on the lam, like totally meaningless.
And yeah, because it's the lockbox was originally stolen from Ajay, right?
Yeah.
Who's
also never comes back after he yells at Hirsch a couple of times and never comes back.
Beverly's or not Beverly, Lulu's brother, right?
Yes.
But he's like a dumpy middle-aged Middle Eastern man or like Pakistani or something.
Obviously not worth it, whatever.
And in his shrill, high accented voice and screaming, like that drug me through the coals.
It was just so not worth even mentioning in my review because okay, great. Sure. I'm sure the director's trying to make a statement of some kind. I don't care what it is. There was so much more to talk because Ajay's such a nothing character.
Yeah, he just pops up and makes comical, high-pitched squeals.
Yeah, that's his
yells.
whole bit. Oh! He just goes like that. Yeah, so a fight erupts between Colin, Shane, Carl, and hotel security. Following Beverly to his room, Lulu demands to know why Beverly faked his death. Beverly confesses that the decision was impulsive and that he didn't really have a reason. He further admits everything he says on stage is similarly impulsive, and he's unsure he meant anything he said. A heartbroken Lulu leaves. This review really leaves out the part of Colin coming into his own and being like, hey, you're a real piece of shit. And like, what do you mean you don't know what you said on stage? Like, how can you do it? How can you? And that's my complaint as well. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, what is any of this plot?
So you mean to tell me this whole plot was meaningless? I watched this for no reason then? That she pines for this guy who is like, well, I still love you, but maybe I don't still love you. Who knows, man? And Jermaine Clement's character is like, you know. What do you mean you don't know? It's like the director came to grips with the fact that, oh, wait, I've not written a plot. And had Jermaine Clement call it out and then nothing. Oh, man. What a waste of time this movie was. And
for a second, you're almost like rooting. You're like, yeah, Jermaine, good point.
Right.
But then you're like, wait, but the movie itself set this whole thing up for no reason. This is
Exactly.
stupid.
Right. It's I put myself in Jermaine Clement's shoes and was like, yeah, good for you. And then wait a minute, it's like, wait, no, you were also written by the same guy. What do you mean?
Yes.
Lulu and Colin meet in the hotel bar where Lulu tries to make amends for her treatment of him. When F.R. David's words begin to play, I guess F.R. David came and edited this too.
There's a link to his Wikipedia
A song
page.
neither have heard before. What? Neither? Okay. Lulu invites Colin onto the dance floor, and the pair share an exuberant dance that abruptly ends with her jumping into his arms. Later, they return to their room to have sex, but Lulu falls asleep while Colin undresses. As Colin gets into bed, Lulu wakes up, and the pair tell each other, I love you. Which, again, for me, felt really unearned because Lulu is not... Like, no matter what the director might think... Lulu did not act like she was into Colin at all. At the end of the movie,
she for 2 days.
Yeah, and even in the scene where he is like, "Hey, Bev Luff Linn, like you're a shithead for dumping this woman, faking your death, and then saying like, I love you, but maybe I don't,' and then leaving, and she still is like, Colin, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, she still doesn't take his side. She is never like, yeah, hey, wait a minute, that is shitty. She still is like, I love this guy and you're an idiot. And then at the end of the movie, she's like, yeah, we're in love. I don't care what you say, Sarah, my friend. It is Lord of the Rings with Eowyn. Like, yeah, I'll settle for Faramir, sure, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I don't know, because this movie's weird with its climax, but like, I don't know, it could have been interesting if the whole movie was maybe the first 30 minutes of a movie, and then the rest of the movie is actually about their relationship progressing.
Yes. Yeah. They didn't do, like, Aubrey Plaza's character is so obsessed with getting to the Beverly Luff Linn show to ask him, why aren't you dead? That anything she does up until that point just seems like there's movie left, fine. When is the show? Like, she almost even says that. She's almost like, we'll do whatever until the show happens. And, like, everything that happens to that point just seems meaningless. That's a really good take, actually. You're right. If there was a movie then about her, like, okay, well, now I spent time with this Colin guy. Like, now I have to imagine a life with him and have a life with him. And if they'd explored that might have been interesting. Yeah, that's a good point.
The other thing that's just so absurd, because it's happened, I think, at least once, if not twice, before the ending of the movie, where Colin goes to undress in the bathroom in preparation for sexy times.
And adjust his dick.
No, undress together. That's part of the fun.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Like, if you were about to have sex, would you go to the bathroom and undress yourself and then go back into the bedroom? That just seems so weird.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. People have sex in different ways. I don't really.
I guess so.
That didn't affect me that much, I guess.
I like opening the package.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like Christmas morning. I get to unwrap it.
All right. But yeah, that didn't affect me because I just, people do different things.
Do you have a long preparation time? Do you like paint your nails, do your hair, put on synchronized swimmer makeup?
What was the point of that? No, yeah, I don't know. My sexual experiences now are so much different than the ones I've had in the past, and from the people I know how they have theirs. People do stuff in different ways.
Sex at 18 compared to when you're pushing 40 like I am is definitely a very different ordeal.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
ordeal is the right word too.
Hey, you gotta nail the boards to the ceiling. You gotta make sure the chains have been WD-40 the day prior. So
right. You gotta make sure the
stink
duct
doesn't
tape
linger.
is still sticky.
Right.
Because if it's hot in the garage, they start sweating. That duct tape might not last.
Yeah. No. I especially for me now. I'm in a sort of a non-traditional relationship, and things are vastly different sometimes. So it's hard to that didn't stick with me at all with how.
Okay.
Unwrapping
That's a
the
good
present.
point.
Jesus Christ. So yeah, I'm glad that when this is all said and done, we have a lot of the same complaints. So it's not because I always get a little self-conscious when it comes to these sort of things that like I'm aware that people like that I don't. Like the whole Wes Anderson experience is really, really not for me. Even though like a lot of people who I respect, like you, I'd still respect you after all these years for some bizarre reason.
You shouldn't.
A lot of people I respect love that and think it's brilliant. And this is very much aping that style. And just even the parts that people might like that are aping that style, I still think are terrible. So I'm glad it's not just me.
Yeah, and the whole movie is like knocking on the door of something I should love. Because I really do like weird for the sake of weird, but it's really is a magic recipe, and it's so easy to get wrong.
And they really do just whiff every time.
Yeah,
this movie doesn't even mention like his ex-wife coming around, Maria Bamford, and just like it just who has a scene with Matt Berry for no reason other than running time.
Forgot about that.
Like a lot of this just feels like padding, but he knew that would be a complaint. Like last week we did Jay and Silent Bob. The KKK in that movie, padding for the sake of padding, and so he can meet and take a picture with Chris Jericho. This movie, he knew if I make padding, someone's going to say the movie has padding, so let me try and make it part of the plot, even though it's like really still does not matter. And that whole thing about Maria Bamford and being his ex-wife and like calling Aubrey Plaza a whore or whatever he called her, whatever she calls her when they like cross paths, or I don't remember what it was, slut, whore, something like that.
Oh, the other thing I really enjoyed as a visual gag was Craig Robinson on the fucking exercise thing.
Yeah, the old time. Do you have any idea what that exercise machine is? Because I didn't.
No,
it's like the hip thruster.
I think there was a new version of it that I remember, like late night commercials called the Zebra. Does that sound familiar?
Never
in
heard
like
of
the
that.
2005s.
Never heard.
2005s, around 2005. But yeah, your feet. You gotta see it. Your feet are on two different pedals that swing back and forth like pendulums, kind of.
But it's like a Stairmaster, but both legs are moving at the same time, kind of. And you're like, it's not like a Stairmaster because you're rocking back and forth.
But it's. Especially having it look old-timey in that weird gym, and just the extended... And that was a weird for weird that I enjoyed, of just, like, 20 seconds of just watching him on that machine.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Because he's a big guy. I think he's on a
he's
trailer.
in, like, weird workout clothes.
Here we go. I had the trailer up still. Watch the trailer, audience, in the official trailer on Netflix. It's at 1 minute and 20 seconds. It shows him on it. And tell me what the fuck that machine is, because I don't know. But yeah, and he's also, like, while he's on it and, like, doing the thrusting, it's like, and his grunting. It's, like, very fitting at the moment. Yeah. It's the only time the grunting fits. But, yeah, it's a lot of nothing wrapped up in a very long package that takes itself too seriously, which doesn't deserve it.
And whatever little glimmers it had weren't enough to boost it from a 1.
No.
It is still an awful movie that no one should waste their time on.
Just terrible. How you like blow it with that much talent in the room is really sad.
I'm very interested. I wish there was a biography of this movie, of like how it was made and conceived and shot.
I'd love to talk to. Sometimes actors will go and talk about their work. Like I remember watching interviews. Well, at the time it wasn't as problematic. When I first watched Pootie Tang like 8 years ago, I watched interviews with them talking to Louis C.K. about it because he was the writer.
Oh, right,
and just like him just saying like, oh my God, that fucking movie, they totally changed the script. And I'd love to hear someone ask like Aubrey Plaza or Jermaine Clement or Matt Berry, please Lord, about that movie and them just being like, what a fucking waste.
Well, when you break into Matt Berry's house in the middle of the night to smell him in his pajamas, you can ask him.
If I ever get a chance to talk to him, I will be asking, like, what happened with Beverly Luff Linn, man? What was that like?
Oh, God. All right, any final thoughts?
No, I think we have talked this movie to beyond death now, but I'm glad we got to hear your thoughts on it. I feel relieved that you also hated it. For A, because I would feel ashamed of you if you liked it, and B, then I don't feel as bad for hating it.
No, you're fully entitled in your rage. This is a train wreck. Oh, man. All right, well...
Thanks for hanging out for our revisit of it.
We're glad we could do a little bonus action, and we don't often get to talk about movies we've both seen.
Yeah, maybe every now and then when there's something really tickles us, we might go just redo this if the other person watches the movie.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it'd be worth an episode, but I'm probably going to watch the Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe if your thoughts are radically different to mine, we'll just, even if it's just 10 minutes, we just fucking want to talk about it. Like, because I'm curious to hear your thoughts, because I think you would like that more than I did, even though I was softer on it than I usually am.
As much detail as we go into with the movies, it's a very different experience hearing someone tell you the movie versus seeing the movie.
Right. And
because there was so much stuff that because so much stuff is visual that you kind of miss, and also because when we're doing our reviews, we'll ignore certain things or pick on certain things that the other person might not have.
Right. So and you're getting, especially with me, I know you're getting biased because
I'm never biased.
Nor I. I've never just immediately hated something just because of the man writing it, Kevin Smith. You fucking shit. You're all right. You're all right, you piece of shit. But yeah, so this was fun. I'm glad. Thanks for taking a listen.
And if you enjoyed this, send us an email, bowelsofmovienight@gmail.com, or hit us up on the Facebooks and the Twitters or whatever. Check those.
I check the Facebook. I don't have Twitter, and I never will get one, so it's hard for me to even look at it.
Yeah,
Twitter
Elon Musk might think we're a bot after he finally acquires the company.
If Elon Musk would buy Twitter and then turn it off, I would forgive him for literally everything. Twitter, I think, is one of the worst things that's happened to America. Genuinely. I don't think we needed to hear the fucking 120 character thoughts of literally everyone in the country all the time.
Donald Trump would not have been the president if it wasn't for Twitter.
The whatever good for the world it's done is very, very much outweighed by the bad. I'm convinced of that.
Yes. But anyway, maybe don't tweet us. But
we have one. We don't really use it.
It auto posts our new episodes. That's why we have one.
I do,
because we don't have to do any work.
Listen, if we get a big enough fan base or enough people ask about it, I will pay more attention to it. But I do pay attention to the Facebook and we have
actually,
the website.
If there's another, because there's like stuff like Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok. If there's a social media platform that you think we would do better on or would like to see us on, send us your thoughts, and we can always take a look. I don't know. We're not big social media guys generally.
No, not really. But that is how you grow a podcast, so we should get better about that. For real, if you could do anything for the show, the only thing I'll ever ask you to do, just please leave us like a star rating of some kind. It's super easy. Most apps don't make it a big deal. Just throw us some stars, because that's actually a big way for podcasts to get more listeners, I'm learning. So
definitely
that will help us the most. Doesn't require much time on your part, and I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, well, what's it for? Biodome. I keep forgetting what it's called. That's probably coming out on Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll see, because I get back on Monday.
Okay.
From Denver, so it'll be out. We're getting there. We're not leaving you hanging. We left you dry a couple weeks, and we never want to do that. We want to keep you nice and wet, so we can just slide into your ears.
You have such an awful way with words.
Yeah, that's the point. Man, the eulogies I give are they're a doozy.
I've been to many of them. You should stop killing people just to have an excuse to do eulogies. People just die naturally all the time. You don't have to keep killing them.
I guess. I don't know. I just need more of my loved ones to die.
Well, you heard it, folks.
Ah, damn, is that going to be evidence?
I think the entire catalog of this podcast counts as evidence against us.
That's going to be a long trial.
I can't believe one of these fucking episodes we've done and we haven't been arrested yet.
Imagine us being on trial while each episode is played in its entirety as evidence.
I would be asked to leave the stand. I saw an episode of a crime show many years ago where the guy, the murderer, had to literally duct taped his mouth because he would not shut up, and he started banging his head against the defense table instead to get attention. That would be me, because I would never shut up. I would be giving so much context. The thought of being on a stand while someone played White Chicks at me, we should probably take down the first 10 episodes. I'm sure I've learned a lot since then.
Yeah, I haven't listened to any old ones in a while. We should go back.
It's been a minute.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Well,
all right.
Well, we're the worst. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. We love you. We'll see you sometime soon.
Smell you later.